Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how to make a gorgeous decorative wreath that is frugal to make and that can be changed out from season to season. This video is brought to you by Crafty Croc liquid chalk markers. They have some brand new additions to their shop this month. They have this brand new set of 10 earth tone markers. Aren't they gorgeous? And then they are also offering their original colors as an 8-pack. So if you don't want to get the big 18-pack, you can save some money that way. I will have a money saving coupon code in the video description as well as details on how you can win some of these gorgeous markers. I'm going to be working with markers from the 18-pack. You can see we've got our earth tones, we have our original neons, white and black, and if all you're interested in is the whites, you can get a 4-pack of white markers on their website as well. Links are in the video description, and here's just a just want to show you the difference in look between the earth tones here and the original neons over here. Now this is construction paper, so it's not as bright as it would be when I do it on the plaque that we're going to be using, but it gives you a good idea of the kind of the different tones that you can expect to get from the different kits. So the first thing I did to get ready for this project was that I die cut a bunch of old book pages into different size flowers, and this was using the Bigz tattered flower Tim Holts die from Sizzix, and I purchased this little foam wreath. It was actually 69 cents, but I know the Dollar Tree carries these for $1, so very inexpensive, just styrofoam foam we're going to do form. And then I traced this shape onto a piece of hardboard or masonite. It's called both of those things depending on where you shop, and I had my husband cut it out with a bandsaw. Then I gave it a coat of black acrylic paint and 2 coats of gloss Minwax polyacrylic, so that way I would have a non-porous surface that the chalk markers would wipe off from. I would also give us plenty of time to cure before writing on them. The markers are not great for working on a painted chalkboard surface just because they might stain, but if you have a nice glossy surface they work great. They also have vinyl labels that work really great too on their website. So the first step that I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting some of these flowers on, and I want to kind of crinkle them up and make them really have a lot of volume. Since I used a thick die, you could actually put mini pages in together to cut them. The only thing is sometimes you can't get them apart. I think that's just one piece there. You're also going to want a little wire to make a hook, and I'm going to just put a hook at the top of my wreath so that I can hang it on my wreath hanger. I'm going to cut off about 1 foot of wire and then make a loop, and a lot of times what I like to do is just grab whatever bottle I have on my craft table and just kind of wrap the wire around it and give it a couple twists. So that gives me a nice neat looking loop. I can always squash it down more if I want to, but that way I'll have a good hanger for my wreath. I like to put this on first so that I can cover the wire with my other decorations. This is going to be such a super light wreath that you could probably even use like a command hook to hang this up if you wanted to, which I think is really nice, or your traditional door wreath hanger. Either way, it shouldn't fall or anything because it's nice and light. Then if you want, you can actually take the little leftover pieces of wire and poke it right into the styrofoam so that it doesn't spin around on you while you're working. I like these styrofoam wreath forms, and I'm glad that I can use it from season to season. Now I'm going to use a hot glue gun to glue some of these wrinkly flowers down. I recommend you use the low temperature on your hot glue gun if it has it, or if it doesn't, put the glue on the paper so it can cool down a little bit before you stick it to the form. Now I like to layer these so I get a really nice voluminous look to my wreath. You could also use just like simple torn flowers or coffee filters, whatever you happen to have. You don't have to go and buy a die for this. You could even tear the shapes. You could use a brown paper grocery bag, whatever you want. It's a really fun project, and it's a great way to recycle. These books were actually, that I'm using, that I cut from, were destined for the recycling bin at the library, and I just didn't want to see them go there or in the dumpster, so I rescued them knowing that I would be able to do some projects with these. Now you can make this two-sided. You can decorate both sides if it's going to be on a door where you'll see both sides of it, but if it's not, you might want to just do one side so it will hang nice and flat. So continue on covering this with your flowers. Here's a quick tip. Working on a silicone mat will make your job a lot easier because you don't have to worry about the glue spilling and sticking to your table. Make sure you crinkle up your little flowers before gluing them down. That way you'll have lots of beautiful texture. Now, of course, this is a paper wreath, so you'll want to use it indoors or in between your storm door and your front door. Okay, I have covered most of the front, and I like to give it kind of like a little scrunch here. Scrunch and gather, scrunch it. Remember those old Saturday Night Live Gap skits? You're gonna scrunch it. You're just gonna scrunch it. See, scrunch it. I've lost my mind. Okay, so I've just kind of scrunched it, and I've left this space blank right now because I want to make sure I have a really good place to anchor my plaque. I don't want it just kind of hooked to some loose piece of paper because it's going to not be very sturdy. So then what I want to do at this point is flip it around, and although I'm not making a two-sided wreath, I still want to have the back side covered. So I think I'm going to take a bunch of these smaller leaves and just, you know, give them, overlap them and just kind of cover everything here so we're not going to see green. And I'm not even crinkling these, I'm just giving it some glue. And see how it gives the glue a few seconds to cool a little bit before I get it down to the front there. And I'm just going to go around and cover this. And I think I'm also going to just kind of wrap it around and cover here just so I have a nice flat area to glue to that's fairly firm. So I'm going to cover this and we'll do the front part together. Okay, the back is done, and when you're working around covering the back, if you see any green peeking through on the sides, any bare spots on the sides or on the inside, you want to make sure that you scrunch up some flowers and put them in there. The goal is to cover the green, and you just want to make sure that you have the textury stuff on the outside. The back is not going to be gorgeous, but it's not going to be ugly either, and we don't want this to be pushing it out from the door or the wall when we're hanging it up, so we want this to be fairly flat. So scrunch any leftover parts to the front and then flip it over. So here I just I stuck one of those big flowers in the back, and what I'm going to do is just glue up the leaves, the petals there around, so I'll have a fairly flat area, because remember we got to glue that plaque down, so I want to make sure it's going to be, I want to make sure this is covered because you might be able to see around it, but I also want to make sure that it's going to have a nice firm place to stick. Now I did have a little bald spot here, so I'm going to put some more crinkled up flowers. It's very intuitive. This has taken me probably about 30 minutes if I, just to count for the time where I had the camera paused. So it's definitely a quick project. You absolutely have my permission to copy this and make it for craft fairs. The nice thing about something like this is that it really doesn't have much in money for supplies. And any supplies you have to buy, like you don't need to use a die, but if you bought a die, you would have that to use over and over again. It wouldn't be a one-time use thing. And the markers, it wouldn't be a one-time use thing. And in fact, that really, you could write something on there for the craft fair just to show that it's a, a sign, but it's not like you really be using them in the ones that you would be selling, you know what I mean? So, keep that in mind. The wreath form, you can buy them any day of the week for $1 at the Dollar Tree. It's not an expensive investment there. And then if you ever go to like old book fairs, but not book fairs, library book sales, they always have these like 10-cent books. You can use old romance novels or whatever, even old probably even old magazines. I like the book paper because it's a little bit thicker and has that beautiful old weathered look to it. But I know our library gets so many books donated, and a lot of times they're those Reader's Digest ones that they're not going to use and they don't sell on the book sales. So those are really good for this too. Obviously don't cut up a book that somebody would actually want to read again. But if it's something that's going to go to the dumpster, then give it a little new life. Okay, and I did glue my flowers over my wire, so I really know that's not going to shift at all. So we've got our flat area here, and that's where our plaque's going to go. Now at this point, you can have it completely plain like this, or you may want to give it a little spritz of color, like maybe like some walnut ink or something to give the pages a little bit more of a vintage look, or if you're using coffee filters to give it a little bit of color. I think I also want to add some ribbon to it. I don't think I'm going to add any brown ink to this. I don't think I'm going to spray it because it's got such a lovely just vintage page look anyway that I don't think it really needs it. So what I'm going to do is just kind of wrap this burlap ribbon around like a garland, because I figure if I keep it like very plain like this, then I can poke in, because it is a styrofoam, I could pin in some Oops, I need to cut this off. I'm not going to be able to go in and around because the wreath is so small. Because I can add embellishments for every season. I could add little, you know, Easter egg picks. I could add red berries. I can add fall leaves. I can add anything I want if I keep it this nice neutral color. And wreath is you know, green is a typical wreath color. So by using just a neutral green burlap ribbon, it's going to have that pretty look to it. I'm not going to do a bow. I'm just going to keep it pretty plain because it is a small wreath, and that plaque on the front is going to really, you know, be the focal point. Just keep wrapping it around. I should have measured this so I could tell you how much ribbon it takes to go around. But I always save my scraps, and who knows, maybe I will tie a bow from the scraps and use it. I could always put a bow at the top, I suppose. Okay, now I'm just gonna give that a little dab of glue right on top of where I started it. And I'm going to trim and fold the excess under. I'll fold it under and stick it right back in that glue so I don't have any raw edges. There we go. That's really pretty, I think. Now we need to put our plaque on there. And so for this, I'm going to put quite a bit of glue on, and I'm going to hold it down to make sure that it really bonds with everything underneath. Giving it a nice generous amount of glue. I didn't varnish the back side of the plaque. For one, it was unnecessary, and for two, I thought the toothy you know, paint would stick to my wreath a little bit better. So what you need to do now is just hold this down with some good pressure until the glue dries or cools. Okay, everything's glued down. If you find like you need a little extra fluff here and there, you can glue on some more crinkled flowers under there. Now I found these little, I've had these for quite a long time. I got these at the Dollar Tree too, and I thought these would be kind of fun to stick in behind the ribbon. I don't want to glue anything on. I don't know if I want those leaves. I think I'll take the leaves off. I don't want to glue anything on because I want to be able to change it up. So what I would do is just kind of trim those because they come on a branch. Like, let me show you another one that I have. They come on a branch like that, so I just clipped off them with long tails so I could kind of tuck them in and wrap the tails to the back, and just kind of still be able to reuse them. And again, this is an indoor decoration because it's paper, so I don't have to really worry about there being a ton of weather or anything like that. So I'm just going to kind of tuck them in behind the wires. I'm not one of those people that has like a knack for like flower arranging or anything, so you'll have to bear with me here. You could, you know, tack it with a little bit of hot glue if you wanted to. You know, it's up to you. I would just try to make sure, or even poke the ends. If you can find a spot in between your flowers, you can poke the ends in. You know, just do, you know, some way to just kind of anchor them and kind of give them that pretty little bit of greenery. Then that might be a little too much. Now that I look at it, it looks like it might be a little too much, but we can fuss with that. Get that exactly the way we want. So for the plaque, I think I'm gonna write Happy Fall. And what colors do I want to use? I think I'll try this olive green because it kind of matches that. Let's do Happy. And let's try, oh, I like that purple. I don't know if the purple will show up because it's kind of darker. Let's try, oops, I just ran my hand across that. You have to be careful. It takes longer to dry on a glossy surface. Happy Fall. Let's see, what else should we decorate with? Oh, I like that red. Maybe start building a frame. I find that if I want to like kind of do something like chalkboard art, I find if I start building a frame, you know, and I do the same thing to every side, you know what, I'm gonna switch around because these are double-sided. The tips you gotta chisel in a bullet. I think I'm gonna go over to the bullet side on that. There we go. They come with a chisel side just automatically facing up, but you can flip them around. And they come with some replacement nibs, which is really nice, so you don't have to worry about them wearing down before your markers are done. I think I'll just do kind of like such a pretty, see, they're super bright on these. Oops, I didn't do the same thing. Oh well, it'll be fine. Okay, let's see. Oh, this, let's see. I used the peach. Oh, I'm going to try and use some of this brighter green. No, I don't think I want to use the brighter green. I think that's too bright. Maybe use some of this light blue. A little heart there. Actually, I don't think I would use so many colors, but I'm just kind of playing. And there we have a very pretty little ornament, little wreath. You know what I think I would do? I think I'm going to take some wire and actually kind of use that to tack down these pieces of foliage, so that way they don't pop up so much. And I'm going to try that, and we'll be right back and take a look at that. Okay, the little metal anchors worked very well. I just cut about a 3 or 4 inch piece of metal and folded it in half, kind of like a hairpin. And then I was able to take the end of the spray that didn't have the wire, you know, the tip of the little berries, and then I could anchor that down very gently, and that can be completely removed and you'd never know they were there. So that way when you go to change it up maybe for Christmas and you want to put maybe some red berries or something in there, then you can just simply pull out the wire. You'll be able to find it. It doesn't really show up that much, but that's, you know, it's kind of what you want. But if you just you start looking around for it, you'll be able to find it. I did decide I was going to take that scrap that was left over when I cut the ribbon and put a bow. So I used my little bow making tool to make my bow, and I'm gonna glue that right to the wreath under my sign, hopefully fairly neatly. It's gonna be glued by the bottom of the bow, so hopefully that glue doesn't show. Oh, I think that looks pretty good, sticking that right in there. And then I did have a couple extra, I have to hold that for a minute to glue. I did have a couple extra pieces of foliage that I'm thinking of adding down here near the bow. Let me think on that, let this glue dry, and we'll come back to see the final project. Okay, here is the finished wreath. Now, something you could do if you wanted to would be to tuck a few of these leaves that came with the sprigs of berries in here and there. I'm not crazy about that, but if you want to do it, go ahead, especially if you have a better sense of design than I do when it comes to floral arranging. I took a few extra of the little berry sprigs and kind of tucked them in that ribbon behind, just to kind of see how I like the look of it. The Crafty Croc markers are so good. Look, I can rub my fingers against that. They're not going to come off until I take a wet baby wipe or cloth and wipe it off and change it up for Christmas. So totally wonderful product there. You can find them at craftycroc.com. Links are in the video description. Please go check them out and thank them for being a sponsor, because that's what makes those videos free for you every day, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And until next time, happy crafting.